Lake Okeechobee in South Central Florida, the site of the Bassmasters Florida Invitation, the second stop on the road to the 1987 Bassmasters Classic World Championship. There's been a lot of conversation and rumors in recent months that this huge lake is dying, that it's no longer the fishery it once was. But what you'll see in the next 30 minutes will show the big O is okay for now. Because not only will you see the huge bass this great lake has always been known for, you'll witness an all-time Bass Anglers Sportsman Society record shattered. It's an exciting tournament with a come-from-behind last-minute charge that truly proves it's never over till it's over. Stay tuned. I'm Ray Scott. The Bassmasters will be right back from Big Bass, Okeechobee, and the Florida Invitation.
Lake Okeechobee, 730 square miles of bass-infested water that many anglers claim is now the best bass fishery in the world. For 3 days, 294 Bassin pros, local anglers, and rookies on the Bassmaster Tournament Trail will cast or flip every imaginable lure in their tackle boxes into the heavy vegetation that's home to these Florida bass. Regardless of how well some of these anglers know this lake, regardless of how often they fish it, year after year or even day after day, picking a tournament winner is no more predictable than picking the last place man. And there's good reason. Because of the tremendous numbers of really big bass here, one cast on Okeechobee can make an angler a hero, or 7 casts for a tournament limit the last day can possibly move him from 100th place to 1st. The abundance of big bass here amazes even the tournament-wise professional bassmasters. That's not to say the fishing is as easy as making a cast and reeling in a fish, because a bass is a bass, and if he wants to eat, he will. If he don't, he won't. And regardless of how aggressively the bass are feeding, getting to them can be a problem, because this lake is filled with places a Bassmaster can't get to. Miles and miles of weed and reed-choked flats that will be a secluded home to some bass for a lifetime. Areas so inaccessible that bass can live and die there without ever seeing an artificial lure come by their nose. Places where the bass share the weeds and grass and bulrushes with the herons and rails and alligators and wild shiners. Day 1, and Okeechobee could not be more beautiful. Clear and calm, great for tourists, but tough for bass anglers. While many of these fishermen will weigh in a 7 bass limit today, the majority of the fish will be small, many just reaching the 12-inch minimum length limit. And there's a reason. Although every bass angler is always fishing for a big fish, it's a fact that deliberately trying to catch 7 small bass is a better, more predictable tournament game plan. Going for just big fish is a big gamble, because these older, heavier bass are less predictable and less abundant. A favorite game plan on the Bassmaster Tournament Trail is to first get a limit of legal size keeper bass and then go for the lunkers, culling the smaller fish. It's a good bet that a limit of bass each day anchored with a big fish will put you in the money. Regardless of philosophies and game plans, the only thing that really matters is what takes place at the weigh-in. Like now, as Texas angler Dave Fenton comes to the scales this first day.
All right, watch the scale, folks. Great weight. 18 pounds, 8 ounces. Check it again. Check it again. Let's make sure. We pivoted one time. I want to make sure. 18 pounds, 8 ounces on the money. Let's give him a nice hand. We want to weigh the largest bass because he has. Look at this fish, folks. Would you look at this? Fantastic. Largest bass you've ever caught, Dave?
Yes, sir.
What do you think she weighs?
I don't know. Once they get over about 6 pounds, I can't hardly tell.
We'll find out now. These scales don't lie. Layer it in nice and easy and watch the scales, folks. Tighten up on the scale. Let's watch her.
6. Oh.
8 pounds, 15 ounces. Let's give him a nice hand. It's a beautiful fish. He says he wants to release the bass, although it's the largest he's ever caught.
Word travels fast when a big bass is brought in, even bringing BASS founder Ray Scott off the weigh-in platform.
That's a hog now. No. Look at this sucker. You're going to go around telling everybody. How big a shiner did you get that on? No, I didn't say a shiner. Well, let go.
I'll tell you what I'll do.
Here we go. How much, Ray? How much? Yeah.
Hey, Larry. Hold your bag. That one's pegged down, dude.
I need that other one with it. I had another one.
Hold your bag, man. How big is it, Larry?
They'll measure all lines. 3-0.
3-0. Need more.
1 pound each.
BASS Tournament Director Harold Sharp, filling in for Ray Scott, handles the weighing in of the big fish.
You don't have but 3 bass, all alive, but one of them looks like a whale. To Larry Wright, look at this, 3 bass and the weight.
14 pounds 7.
14.7, and we're going to weigh this giant hog. Reach in there and pick him out.
Go 11. I need him to go 11.
What are you going to bet?
I'm hoping 11 pounds.
I'm not going to bet with you. I'm not as good as Ray Scott on this, but for your sake, I hope he does go 11. All right, put him in the sack, and we'll tell you in a hurry what he weighs. Put the lid on him and stand back, and everybody look at this. Holy cow. Almost.
10 pounds, 14.
10-14. That's a big fish for today, right?
Even though Okeechobee is known as a big bass lake, the truth of the matter is that most of the lunkers are caught on wild shiners. And this, as Larry Wright points out, can have adverse effects on tournament fishermen who can only use artificial lures.
I'm a shiner guide. Mainly, I do a lot of shiner fishing on Lake Okeechobee, and people come down here from north and they're wanting their trophy fish. And the best way to get it is shiner fishing. And we're kind of wondering about how it hinders you when it comes up to keeping up the artificial fish for tournaments. And it is a definite problem. I've seen it for the last 6 years since I've been down here full-time guiding. And you can sit right in there and just watch fish tearing shiners up, and you can throw top water bugs, spinner baits, and our worms, anything you want to, and they won't touch it. And it's a definite hindrance. It's just, I can blame a lot of it in the wintertime when I'm guiding pretty regular. I just can't keep up with those artificial fish, and it hurts you. If you're going to fish full-time tournaments, you kind of need to lay them shinies aside every now and then. But as far as catching big fish, watching that bobber is tough to beat now.
Stay tuned. The Bassmasters will be right back with more exciting tournament action from the Florida Invitational and a look at the super productive technique of shiner fishing. Don't go away. Wild shiner fishing can be habit-forming. Of all the techniques known for catching really big bass, fishing with the big minnow is without question the most productive. Watching your bobber go under and knowing something just ate a 10-inch shiner is heart-stopping. It's not always a 10-pounder, but it could be.
Come here.
Back here talking. Come on here. Open them out. Just like the Dennis says.
Yeah, they're nice fish. They got clean. The fish moved in here with that heavy wind. Come out of that pepper grass. See how clean they are?
Fish are hungry.
Yeah, they're eating it. Eating it now, aren't they? See those pliers? How deep is it?
Deep.
Let's just
When it comes to equipment for shiner fishing, most anglers prefer a 7 to 7.5 foot stiff rod, similar to a flippin' stick, and a casting reel filled with 25 to 40 pound test line. The hooks and floats are unique.
I'll just let him work around there a little bit. It's a 5/0 Kale hook, regular shiner hook. And it's got a feature on it so that when that shiner's swimming around, that crook in it, it kind of lays back on the shiner's head there and doesn't get in the way of everything when he's swimming around in there. and it'll set better on the fish. And the balloons, we found using them a lot of advantage to them in the reeds. They don't get hung up in the reeds like a regular cork float will. They'll kind of just collapse or break or tear off or whatever in those reeds in there, and the fish can just pull them right on through without it snagging and getting hooked up in there.
For tournament anglers who pass these shiner fishermen along the reeds watching them pull out big bass, it's frustrating. Because as we said, BASS tournament rules permit only artificial lures to be used. When day 2 of the Bassmaster Florida Invitational began under clear skies, only 5 pounds separated the top 10 anglers. Floridian Jim Bitter was 1 pound 4 ounces ahead of Dave Fenton, winner of the recent New York Invitational. And Texas great Rick Clunn, who won this tournament in 1984, was only 6 ounces behind Fenton and on down the line. For many of these Bassmasters, the fish catching pattern seems to be the same, even for Tennessee angler John Butler in 49th place.
So far this morning, we've had good luck. We both got a limit. And the secret of what we've been doing is we fished these reed lines where they were, where another type of grass ended and you only had slick reeds, either pepper grass or eel grass, but it stopped and went into a slick reed right there is where we found the fish this morning. And it was where the changes were in the type of grass cover that we caught most of the fish. So that seemed to have been the secret this morning, is finding change in the grass. So that's what we've done, and so far we're right happy with it.
And there's someone else who's pleased with his day's work.
Okeechobee, David Fenton, who was in 2nd place going into the 2nd day. And I noticed you in the New York tournament. All right, we have, I noticed, a limit of 7 bass, and the weight today, 11 pounds, 13 ounces. That's going to keep you right up there, don't you think?
Yeah, Ray, I couldn't get bit by big fish today. I think that there's so much boat traffic where I got bit yesterday that the fish have moved further back in there, and you just can't get to them.
Back in the grass?
Yeah, way back in the grass. Yesterday they were on the outside of it a little bit.
But tomorrow's the last day now. You got to go. You're going to stay in the top for it, but you're going to be right up near certainly toward the lead within the next few minutes. We'll know for sure, but tomorrow is the day. You got to get that big bass tomorrow.
Yeah, I got to get bit by a big fish tomorrow.
All right, good luck to you.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you, Dave.
As the 2nd day weigh-in concludes, one thing is apparent. It's still anybody's ball game. Only 10 pounds, 2 ounces separate the new leader, Dave Fenton of Texas, and the 60th place man, Woo Daves of Virginia. It's conceivable that most anyone down to 100th place can still win this tournament. Stay tuned as the Florida Invitational takes a surprising turn in the final moments of this $137,500 fish-off. The Bassmasters will be right back from the Big O in Clewiston, Florida. The 3rd and final day of the Bassmaster Florida Invitational. This afternoon at the final weigh-in, the top 60 anglers will share in $137,500 prize money. But that's 8 angling hours away. And for some of these tournament anglers, it will be a very long day. First day leader Jim Bitter, now in 2nd place, is fishing almost within shouting distance of the weigh-in area. He continues to pound the bulrushes and grass with topwaters and worms, and like many this final day, can only connect with the smaller fish. First place angler David Fenton isn't faring much better. He and his partner John Butler, who's now in 4th place, elect to fish the area where Butler got his limit early yesterday. The fish have either moved or they're not biting. The 2 Bassmasters relocate to where Fenton caught his fish, but that area too has dried up. What fish there are small. But someone, somewhere, will always catch the bass.
So here comes George Bowman making his challenge for the lead. He's about half a pound or so out. He has only 6 bass, but he's got one very, very good bass in there, which could be the magic. Let's watch the scale. He's got to have about 10, 12 pounds. 12 pounds, 11 ounces, and that's going to be awful close depending on what the other fellas do, George. What's your feeling right now?
Somebody will probably come from behind and blow me away.
You don't really believe that.
Well, I don't know. You know, there's a lot of people to come yet, so we just have to wait and see.
Well, that's a nice fish. That's the magic. That fish right there, if you win this tournament, that's the fish that did it.
That's right.
What lure were you using to catch that bass?
You only want a red comfort shad worm.
Shallow water.
Yeah, about 5 foot, 4 or 5 foot.
You ought to kiss that bass. All right. Good luck. We'll hope you wait home.
And from the back of the pack in 60th place, Woo Daves.
Look out here.
21.5.
21 pound, 5 ounce. Let's hold that hog out of there. Is that the largest stringer for the day? I believe it is. This could be the largest bass for the day. What is the largest bass we're looking for? 8? Hold him up there. All right, let's check him out here and see. Put the lid on him. All right, going for the big bass today. 9 pound, 8 ounces. Congratulations. Now, this is the last day. I know you can tell everybody what you caught these on. It ain't no secret anymore.
I used a red shad-colored worm, 7 1/4 inches long. That's it.
And George Bowman's fears are realized.
Charlie Murphy, Florida, 7 bass. Murphy? All right, watch. If you notice, the 7th place man, 22 pounds and 9 ounces. Bob Cobb, before we put him on the scale, quickly give me a rough estimate. 14 pounds and how much? 13 ounces will tie the leader, who at the moment is George Bowman. All right, let's put him on the scale.
$18.9.
18 pounds, 9 ounces, which if I'm not, this is unofficial, but I believe you pulled into the lead.
I appreciate it.
Now, I know you got one dear friend in there that called about a 5 1/2, 6 1/2 pound bass.
I was glad to see her when she came in. I got rid of a 12-inch with her, so.
You cut a small one and pick her up and hold her there with your right hand and kiss her like you mean business. Woo! Lord, that's solid gold. You realize what kind of, we're talking thousands of dollars worth of fish. Let's weigh this fish so the record will show what the weight of your largest bass was. Nice and gentle, layer in there. Folks, this one magic cast can be the difference in glory and just another man on the list. And there she is. Look, 6 pounds, 13 ounces. And look, caught a little bitty fish. So it's a 5-pound advantage you picked up on that one bass. You want to tell us quickly what you were using to catch that beautiful fish?
Well, I caught her on a grape shad culprit.
Fishing what type water?
Flipping in hydrilla.
How you feel right now, pal?
Shaky.
Well, you know we got a few more guys coming in, but you've pulled into the lead.
I just hope it stays that way.
Well, for your sake, I hope so. I know everybody's pulling for you, so let's wish you well. Stand over there and don't tremble so much. I can feel the quivers in your body. Let's give a nice hand, folks. That's super. We hope you hold the lead.
And the champion of the Bassmaster Florida Invitational, Charlie Murphy, his first BASS tournament victory worth $32,000. And for the Bass Angler Sportsman Society, a new record number of bass caught, 4,267, and the highest total of tournament limits, 355 7 bass daily limits for the 3 days.
Go ahead and take the troll.
And now it's time for the pros pointers, the how-to section of the Bassmasters. The techniques Charlie Murphy and George Bowman used to catch their bass were similar, but there is a difference, as the new champion and runner-up explained the next morning.
I could have used her yesterday.
Well, George, you can see how this matted stuff is back in here with these reeds and all. Every now and then you can catch an opening back in there, but I found out during practice and during the tournament itself, the best thing to do is just right the edge of it and just catch a stem of grass, or preferably hydrilla was my key factor with hyacinths on top of it. But anything you could catch sticking out at the edge to flip your worm back behind to where the worm would fall straight down beside the cover. And when the fish didn't hit it on the drop, you just had to more or less dead worm it. This technique would be called, I imagine. So you just let it lay, and then after 15, 20 seconds, you just barely raise your rod, just enough to raise the worm off the bottom a little bit, and then just let it fall back down and lay there for a little while longer. Did that probably 3 to 4 times. If nothing happened, you knew nothing was there, because usually the second or third time he took it. Is this basically the same pattern you had, George? Or?
No, I was fishing some of this type pattern, Charlie, but most of my fish came casting with a long cast and used a flipping stick where you could get a good hook set.
Right.
A regular rod just wouldn't have the enough power at the end of the line to set your hook. So I was holding off the reed line, bull rush, the hollow buggy whip type.
Right.
And casting back into the heavy cover to the edge of it and swimming out. And up here close to where you were at, there was some hydrilla growing out from those buggy whips. And the fish seemed to be in the scattered buggy whips between the hydrilla and the scattered buggy whips.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd just throw back where it was thick and just kind of swim the worm back out to the hydrilla. When I'd feel the hydrilla, I'd just pick it up, throw it right back in there. But swimming it real slow. I'd drop it and then pick it, let it sit there just a minute and then pick it up and swim it out.
Was you using any special type of rig for swimming it, or?
No, well, I was pegging it, I pegged my worm because we were pulling it through a lot of trash,
Mm-hmm.
So to keep from pulling it down all the time, I'd toothpick that worm and swim her out.
So you was just basically using a ribbon tail worm that was Texas rigged and slow cranking it in.
Mm-hmm.
Next week, we'll be headed all the way across the country to the west, to California's Clear Lake. And we'll be fishing with Bassmaster Gary Klein as he shows us California-style bassing. It's a place where bass grow big and they chase bait into the shadows of volcanoes and gold mines. It's a great show. Don't you miss it. For the Bassmasters, this is Ray Scott, and we'll see you next week.
The Bassmasters has been brought to you by Ranger Boats. We still build them one at a time. Abu Garcia, performance you can depend on. Humminbird, the ultimate in fish finding technology. DuPont Fishing Lines, the choice of champions. And by the Bass Angler Sportsman Society.